KKK. No KKK. No KKK. Abolish ICE. Abolish ICE. Abolish ICE. Abolish ICE.
Look at it. Look at it. Fucking gun. Look
Abolish
at it.
ICE.
I'm gonna fuck you the world and
Are found at 311. Please remember to provide any needed assistance to your neighbors, family members, older residents, and those most vulnerable. If you need to request a well-being check, you can call 311 or go to 311.chicago.gov or use the 311 mobile app. Next, we'll have Matt Bedeau, Commissioner of Department of Buildings.
Thank you, Mark. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to thank Mayor Lightfoot and the fellow commissioners and sister agencies, the private sector, and finally the residents of Chicago for helping us all get through this weather event. Chicago Department of Building enforces the Chicago Heat Ordinance, which requires that heat be at 68 degrees from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. and from 66 degrees from 10:30 p.m. to 8:30 a.m. We take this matter very seriously. Landlords have to provide heat to their tenants. There are no excuses. And fines for this can be up to $1,000 per day per event. If you're a renter and your landlord is not providing adequate heat or no heat at all, please contact 311 immediately. Don't hesitate. Don't be afraid. We're here to help you. We will send out inspectors and check to see if the heat is adequate, and if not, we will take appropriate action against the landlord. The department to date has conducted over 5,100 heat inspections and over 500 since Friday when the heat or when the cold came down again. Again, penalties for this are very serious: $1,000 per day per event. We want to remind folks: do not use your ovens or other open flames for heat. Again, if you have issues with your heat, call 301 immediately, and we will be out there to help you. And if we have to, if you require relocation, we work with our partners at Department of Family and Support Services to make sure that everybody has a safe home. Also, please do not go up on roofs to clear snow. Let nature take its course. Let the snow come down naturally. It's not safe to go up on top of roofs. If you have concerns, there are professionals you can consult that go up there and they know exactly what they're doing. But do not go up on the roofs. It is not safe. You don't know what's underneath the snow. We don't want anyone falling through a roof or falling off a roof. And also, if you use equipment up there, you're probably going to end up damaging your roof. So again, please do not go up on roofs. And if you're having issues with heat from your landlord, please contact 301 immediately. We'll be out there to help. And also, as everyone else will say, please look out for each other. We're all in this together, so let's take care of each other. Thank you.
I have one question while you're at this. Speaking of the clearing out the rooms, what is your level of concern about some of these older buildings in the city of Chicago and their weight of this snow? There have been 3 buildings collapsed in the Chicago area since all of this started this winter.
Well, this is Chicago. Our roofs are built for snow. They're built for a lot of snow. And, if there are a few instances, and there have been a few instances where roofs have collapsed, those have been in vacant commercial spaces that have been vacant for.
When we are in energy emergency alerts that are set to incentivize generators to provide maximum supply during those alerts, there were some distortions in how they were being calculated. They weren't being calculated incorrectly, but in an event like this, we were observing for the first time.
Check it out. Oh, what?
The formula.
This is the cheese, man.
You said it
That's
had
not crumble.
vegetables.
And
You said
I
had
don't know.
They screwed me on the pizza.
That's not
Oh, man,
nice.
I should have double checked.
That's not very nice.
You guys want cheese or what?
The obvious scarcity and need to bring everything
Sucks,
on.
man.
Yeah, so
They ripped
the
you
good
off.
news,
I know, I wanted combo. This is not combo. This is cheese.
There ain't no combo.
Look at that.
change to that mechanism
Hey,
enabled
that's
us
a
to
scam.
put a software change
Yeah.
in last night to while we're in this emergency condition, apply
That's the one with comp. Yeah.
It's a scam,
that
yo.
we think is
Scam me.
going to be even more effective in our ability to keep generation on at its maximum throughout the event.
How much of the total generation on forced outage was just gas?
I actually don't have that number either. I apologize. Certainly going into the event prior to this stripping of generation, we knew that there would be some finite amount, very well known amount of generators that were going to have gas restrictions on them. But the units that tripped offline starting Sunday night were a mix of resources, but I don't have that breakout in front of me.
Okay. Can you address the criticism that the loss of wind generation is primarily to blame for the outages in the state? Is that true or no?
Well, so I mean, the numbers that I did quote earlier, where we do have a breakout between wind and solar resources and thermal generation, being gas, coal, and nuclear, the breakout is roughly right now it's 16,000 megawatts of what we got renewable generation, wind and solar, and of the 28 or 29,000 megawatts of thermal generation. Now, those numbers I should note include both generators that went out since Sunday, and also some that were out in advance of that because of these gas curtailments and so forth. But really, I mean, if that may be a way of answering the question, is that there is, significantly more megawatts in that thermal unit category than in the renewable category, as far as what's out during this particular event at the current time.
And I just add to what Dan's saying. Overall, as Dan emphasized before, we're seeing the loss across the various generation types, and it really, those losses came at pretty much the same time as we saw this storm sweep through and have its impacts on lots of different kinds of generation. So I think it's the weather, the storm that brought the issues to lots of different kinds of resources, and obviously working with all of them to try to bring as many of those of all kinds back to get on the system.
Okay, let's see. Next one. When did ERCOT realize that this storm would be worse than the projections, and what last-minute steps were taken to prepare for it?
Yeah, so actually, from a planning perspective, on Monday, the 8th of February, our meteorologists were recognizing that this was going to be a really severe storm. And so we issued what's called an operating condition notice for extreme cold weather. We issued that out to market participants. We asked the generators to make sure that they had reviewed their fuel supplies and had fuel available, that they implemented their winterization procedures. So that started on Monday, the February 8th. And then we ratcheted up the different levels of warning ahead of time to an advisory, and we began canceling transmission outages to make sure the system was intact as possible to allow generation to be used without any kind of transmission congestion. We did that on February 10th. We updated that to a watch on the 11th. And then on Saturday the 13th, we issued a emergency conditions notice for the extreme cold weather. So we were preparing all along, and in fact, we were preparing for some loss of wind generation, some loss of gas generation due to gas restrictions that typically happens for a severe cold weather event, because the gas industry will use that necessarily use that for human needs first, and is how that was defined back before the Railroad Commission's order. And so we knew those kind of things were happening. The real thing that changed everything was the fact that the rest of this generation that tripped offline starting in the middle of the night on Sunday, really after we had hit the peak for this event in demand for this load so far for the event, all that generation tripping offline, that part was not expected because of these winterization things that the generation industry had put in place where we were doing best practice and everything. We implemented those after 2011. In 2018, we had weather that was just as extreme in January of 2018 as we had experienced in February of 2011 when we lost a lot of generators. And so it appeared that the winterization that we were doing was working because we didn't lose any generators or very few in January of 2018. But this weather event was a lot more extreme than either of those. And so that loss of generation during the morning of Monday after midnight, that was really the part that really made this a more extreme event than what we had planned.
I would add too, I don't think there was any underestimation of the seriousness of the storm. I think Governor Abbott sought a disaster declaration ahead of time, noting that we were expecting unprecedented weather conditions all over the state. The State Operations Center, the Disaster Management and Emergency Center was stood up so we could operate this weekend, knowing we were going to have the storm coming in this week. And then we also, with Governor Abbott suggesting it and helping us make it happen, as well as Senator Cornyn, received an order from the U.S. Department of Energy declaring an emergency, which allowed us to do some things to try to increase the ability of generation to perform during this time. So I think there were many steps taken both from our normal processes, like Dan described, as well as the efforts the state made to prepare everyone for what we were going to see, so that we could try to get as much out of the electrical system as possible. And again, Sunday night we saw a major change in what was available to us to serve the demand, and I think that's where the issue began and what we've been challenged by the past couple of days.
The next question, what's the biggest reason for the drop in supply still, and how long are outages expected at this point?
Yeah, so it appears that a lot of the generation that's gone offline today, either tripped or had to come offline, has been primarily due to issues on the natural gas system. And so, and I mean system spun large, from getting the gas from the frozen wellheads through the pipes to the generators and to consumer demand for heating from natural gas. And so that really seems to be it seems to be a lot of the issues for the plants that we're seeing become unavailable during the day today.
Okay, next question is from Paul Weber with the AP. What is the realistic timetable for when service will be fully restored, and could it drag on as far as this weekend?
Well, we're saying we were able to restore some service yesterday. We've seen, a continued increase in the amount of service we can restore. The wild card, the biggest variable that makes it difficult to give you a certain answer is that, as Dan has noted, we're relying on the ability to get that supply and demand in balance by getting more generation on the system to meet the demand that will increase when we end the outages. So we're continuing to work with generators 24 hours a day. All of these generators have every incentive to get back on the system and providing power. So we're working with them through issues around, as Dan said, gas supply, around their responses to problems they had the night of early Monday morning, to make sure that we can get as much of that on as we can, because the more generation we add, the faster we can get the demand side, the customers back on. And what is challenging about this is, if we lose some generation in this process, we might have to, go back and pick up the outages again to a certain extent to keep the grid in balance, because we can't let ourselves tumble into a situation where by acting prematurely, I hate to say it because this has been such a long event, by acting prematurely to completely close it off, that we end up in that blackout that could last, an indeterminate amount of time, maybe months. We don't even know how long, a true blackout would last in order to speed the resolution. So we're just working very carefully with all of the folks in the market, but particularly those generators, to get them back on. But I'd say, with the weather moderating even just a little bit, I think we'll still be able to see, as we have so far this day, additional restoration of service. We've restored how many megawatts today?
Roughly about 4,000 megawatts today.
Okay. So if we continue to see progress there, we can, get that number down to a much smaller number. I don't think that's complete today. One of the factors is it takes time. It would take a few hours to restore all that load, but we're going to continue to work on it. And the faster that we work with those generators to get those issues resolved, the faster we're done. But certainly, over the next couple of days, I think we see, really good signs of progress, even though we still have, much work to do.
Okay, next question from Anastasia Bolton from Tegna, Texas.
We're also keeping an eye out for a press conference that started just now from the city of Austin. We know there's a lot of great information with this ERCOT presser, but we want to go over to the city of Austin.
That don't just keep a certain part of the population without energy for such a long period of time. But for now, we need to do what we can to deal with the problem that we have going on. So first and foremost, if you can, stay at home. Don't travel on roads, especially at night. The roads get really, really icy, especially as the sun goes down. If it's unsafe for you to stay where you are at your home, travel to your destination really slowly. Just do it with extreme caution. As I drove up to the EOC earlier today, I think I drove about 10 or 15 miles an hour the whole way. It's very dangerous out there, and it's getting more icy as the sun goes down. If you are also out trying to get supplies, or if you're trying to get a hotel room maybe, please keep an eye out for price gouging. And to help prevent price gouging, I'm announcing now that I'm actually signing an order this afternoon that prevents anyone from selling certain goods or services for more than their regular retail price, including hotel rooms. And if you happen to see evidence of price gouging going on in Austin or Travis County, or anywhere in Texas, I would encourage you to document it and then report it immediately to the Office of the Attorney General. This order also says that local businesses like office towers or sports facilities need to turn off their exterior lights and quit using electricity if those lights or functions aren't related to essential services. But overall, just know, it's been very hard these last few days. I completely understand that. But we're going to get through this together, and, do what you can, stay safe, stay warm, and we'll get through this together. I'm going to pass it now over to Mayor Adler. Thank you very much.
Judge, thank you. We want to thank our community for everything that the community is doing to deal with this challenge, everything you've been doing to help one another. We know this is a critical weather event that's impacted all of us in different ways in one way or another. The forecast for tonight calls for additional severe weather, and we're urging residents to remain at home as much as possible during these severe weather, to keep the roadways cleared for first responders and those that are seeking shelter. Please only call 911 if you have a life-threatening emergency, so those that do can get through. As we have seen over the last couple of days, temperatures continue to be below freezing. And we do not anticipate that condition is going to change anytime soon. We're doing everything we can to keep the community as safe as possible while staying warm. So this afternoon, we're going to provide a few updates and make a few asks. If you can shelter in place, we're asking that you do so. If you can't, then we ask that you make that decision now and start getting to a place before it gets to be dark, because driving and walking become more dangerous in the evening when there's no light. For those that have power and water, please check on your neighbors or your friends. If you can provide shelter to them, we ask that you practice the following: wear your masks, wash your hands, try to maintain social distancing. Everyone, please do what you can to reduce your energy consumption. And this includes our businesses. As Judge Brown just talked about, we are putting out an urgent plea to businesses to reduce their power consumption, just as we're asking people in residences. Here's the key phrase for me this afternoon. If you have power, please try to live almost like you don't. If you have heat, run it low, run it lower. If you have lights, try just to use the light you need at that moment. If you have power, maybe you'll take a turn using flashlights or a candle. The more we can conserve, the greater the chance that Austin Energy might be able to satisfy whatever load reduction the state is requiring in an increasing way with conservation, rather than with outages. And there are no promises because we can't control the state or ERCOT or what it's going to require of us. But it may very well give Austin Energy increased flexibility. Any measure that can be taken by homes with power or commercial businesses to reduce their power usage could be a step closer to returning power to homes in our community. Turn off the lights you can, lower the thermostat, lower. We need everyone to help conserve energy. I want to thank everybody in the community for your offers of aid. The harsh weather conditions are creating unprecedented need for shelter and food and clothing and other essentials in our community. Community groups are mobilizing to support this effort. Again, I refer you to the Austin Area Urban League, AAUL.org. They've launched an emergency donation drive called #LoveThyNeighborTX campaign. They're accepting monetary donations. I know that the Emergency Operating Command and APH are developing a website for volunteers to be able to sign up for helping to staff shelters, and I hope that that's available here shortly. Folks with four-wheel drives that are able to move people around, there's been an opportunity for you to be able to volunteer those services too. With so many cold and without power, people in danger, and everybody is frustrated, including everybody on this press conference, including me. The Electric Reliability Council of Texas, ERCOT, ultimately has to explain how millions of Texans are without power. Rolling outages are just not that. There's got to be systemic changes. This condition is happening every 10 years, and we've got to come up with a better plan. But for now, let's focus on the immediate emergency and challenge in front of us. I heard rumors this afternoon questioning whether or not we would, the situation at this point was endangering our water supply, whether we'd be facing a water boil. I checked with Austin Energy. They said that's not the case. That's happening elsewhere in Texas, but not here. And now I want to turn it over to Jackie Sargent, the Austin Energy General Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Adler. Good afternoon. As the General Manager for Austin Energy, I want to speak to our customers. We hear you. We know that this situation is challenging and is creating life and safety issues, especially for those of you experiencing prolonged and sustained outages. We are working in concert and under the direction of ERCOT to support and maintain the stability of the electric grid. If the electric grid becomes compromised, the issue will become even more dire. So until this weather event clears and more generating units across the state are able to come online, there will not be enough capacity to meet all energy customer demand. ERCOT has indicated that this energy emergency will continue until the grid is stabilized and there is more generating capacity available to meet our statewide customer demand. Right now, and today and over the night, we've been working around the clock. We have reached out and been working with our large customers to get them to power down their facilities and start their backup generation. ERCOT conditions have improved somewhat during the day, going up and then back down. However, the combination of these two factors is allowing us to start restoring some of our customers' service. We have to do this work very deliberately and in a measured fashion to restore circuits to energize customers slowly so that we can avoid overloading these circuits and having them trip right back off. You can help us. Turn off your devices and appliances.
This is such a cool skin. Ooh. Got another one. Oh my god, that was actually kind of...
cleaned up for the presidential motorcade.
I don't think the president will see any of it. He's going to run right inside and he won't see the messy streets. All right, Jason, thanks.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Your service, right? Well, not only is the president coming, but today... And as mentioned, we do have that update coming from the family of that fallen firefighter on the set of Motherless Brooklyn. We'll play this out for you as it's live right now in New York.
Speaker of the House, Corey Johnson, for his support in this bill and able to get this passed. We'd like to thank Councilman Joe Borelli for sponsoring the bill and his help along the way, as well as Councilman Cornegie, who is also a co-sponsor of the bill. We'd like to thank Councilman Justin Brannon for his help today and his help along the way. And in a rare occurrence, we were in lockstep with the fire department. We would like to thank First Deputy Commissioner Laura Kavanaugh and Commissioner Dan Nigro, who wrote a very strong letter urging the support of this bill. There was some rumored changes and some back rooms to this legislation and that were unacceptable to us and to the fire department. And we stood together along with the family, and our politicians stood by us too and supported us. And we're glad to see that there is no longer any opposition to this legislation. And we're glad to see that the right thing is going to happen when it comes to this, and that safety is going to prevail. So with that being said, I'm going to bring up Eric Davidson to speak on this bill.
Thank you, everyone, for coming today. Like Bobby said, we just want to thank everyone. I got a couple people to thank. I want to thank Councilman Borelli and Cornegie for co-sponsoring this bill. Obviously, we understand how politics works sometimes with the back and forth, but from day one, we've had bipartisan co-sponsorship.
All right, we're going to come back to that in just a moment here, but I do want to cut in for some more weather news out in Houston, Texas. We have one of our very own, Tiffany Justice with Fox 26 in Houston. Tiffany, we've been talking about power outages over the past few days here. What's the very latest out there? And just give us a little view of your scene as cars are driving right behind you, looking like the streets are pretty open there.
Right. So it is still extremely cold here. We are still hovering around freezing, 36 degrees where I am right now. As far as the power outages, there are still millions of Houstonians or Texans without power right now. Thousands of Houstonians still without power. I know when we went to bed last night, there were around 4 million Texans without power. And at this point, we're being told that only 10 to 15% of Houstonians will gain their power back by today, sometime today. There is really no timeline. A lot of people just waiting inside of their homes, just hoping for that power to turn back on. There's not a lot of talk as to when that's going to happen and for who that's going to happen, but there are some lucky individuals within the city and greater Houston area that do still have their power. And some of them are helping others out with their generators or whatnot. As far as where I'm at right now, there are still many people on the roadways. As you guys can tell, right behind us or beside us, the roads are still icy. There are some extreme icy patches on the roadways, and you just have to be extremely careful. As I have mentioned, we're still around 36 degrees, so it is well at that temperature where those roads can remain icy. That slush that may have gathered in the daytime when the sun was out, that is beginning to freeze once more. And as you guys can tell, these drivers are taking it a bit slower, and that's the wise thing to do. But on these roadways, it's very dangerous still at this point. You got to be careful.
And Tiffany, I know obviously you're out and about on the scene, but have you felt like it's slowed down? You're not a meteorologist, but what are they saying about what the snow is going to be looking like going into tonight and in tomorrow as well?
Yeah, thankfully, we have seen the worst of it last night and early yesterday morning. However, we are expecting to have some pretty strong showers tonight and into Wednesday and Thursday. It's going to slow down Thursday. Everything is supposed to come to an end on Thursday, and that's when we're supposed to warm up at this point. But at this time, people are really just trying to get through this. We are expecting some more rain on Wednesday and Tuesday night.
All right, Tiffany Justice out there in Houston, Texas for us. We appreciate you reporting live from those cold temperatures out there. I really feel for all of you reporters. Thanks for being with us here on News Now. And there you have it. We're going to continue to follow all of this winter weather that's breaking across the country right now. But I do want to give you one live look from Bourbon Street, where Mardi Gras is looking a little bit different this year. We'll also be talking about that and President Biden and his visit, his first presidential visit in Milwaukee. Giving you the very latest here on News Now from Fox. We'll see you in about 2 minutes. And welcome back to News Now from Fox. It's Mardi Gras, and this is Bourbon Street. It would be completely packed on any other year, but it's definitely a little bit slower this year. We'll be playing out some stories for you later on and on how different Mardi Gras is looking in this 2021 year, but we want to bring you out to a live event in New York. The family of a man who was killed on the set of Motherless Brooklyn is speaking out. They're holding a press conference, firefighters in New York right now. So we want to listen in as they speak during this press conference and then move on to some of our other stories that are hitting the headlines today here on News Now.
So by notifying us in the fire department, we're not looking to get in the way of the film industry or getting everything that. It gives us a fighting shot of understanding what we're going after by being able to understand what's going on there. And currently, if you apply for a movie, the community board will get an email and the city council will get an email. Joe Borelli himself says, he goes, I get an email every time they're filming in my area. He goes, I don't need to get that email. But the local firehouse does. That's going to affect our response route if it's filming in the street. Or we need to know if Apartment 3 Charlie is no longer Apartment 3 Charlie. That's basically the roots of these bills.
So it would require a fire safety director be on set during the filming?
It would require that, yes. Any other questions?
You said voted on next week, is that right?
It's when the council meets, yes. That's what we believe. That is our hope as long as there's no snags. No other questions?
Spelling on your name.
Sure. My name is E-I-L-E-E-R.
And Eric with a C? Yes. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Well, we, of course, just got the very end of that press conference there. We'll be sure to find it for you and play it out for you in its entirety. But we'll move on to our sister station coming out of Milwaukee, as they're doing kind of an entertainment unit here, but also covering those winter weather storms that are hitting the country. So we'll play that out for you, and then we'll be right back.
And sit by their pools. But talk about what you've seen happen with, and you can name some rock stars who might have gone into this a little skeptical and then become blown away by it.
Well, Gino, they were all skeptical. You know, I mean, I had to go to England to convince Roger Daltrey to do this and I did that by asking him who his hero was, if he could jam with his hero. And he said, Levon Helm. He says, if you get me Levon Helm, I'll do your camp. They all turned me down. I mean, rock stars never wanted to meet people. They're always running out the door. And, you know, they're always leaving by the last song. They're in their limos and they're gone. Unlike the country folks, you know, Keith Urban says, I hang out with my fans. I love my people. But so, you know, it was very hard. But once I started getting Roger to do it, and then he introduced me to Brian Wilson, and then Steven Tyler introduced me to Slash. And, you know, so that made it easier. But in the beginning, it was very difficult.
I'll give him a C for the country twang that he tried right there. But, you know, it's kind of interesting to hear that because, you know, rock stars, they're amongst, well, pre-COVID, thousands, tens of thousands of people surrounding them in these stadiums. But then to learn that so many of them are likely introverted and they're used to maybe their personal squad and that's kind of it. You know, it's kind of interesting that once a few got on board, then they're like, all right, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Well, and it's very cool because I think they kind of see themselves when they started out in the business to have this ability to, you know, spend that time and ask questions and actually play with your hero. Pretty good. And it's available starting today everywhere on all the streaming platforms. You can find
sounds
it.
good. Reminded me of Gino. Just like big star, but I don't know if he doesn't want to meet with all the people.
Stays in his
around
high rise down there in the third ward. We'll see you tomorrow, Gino. We know you're not like that.
Thanks, Gino.
Well, still ahead here for Closing the Gaps, the new COVID-19 vaccination center that's a first of its kind here in Wisconsin.
Fox 6 investigators, Milwaukee's investigative team, because you matter.
Your family has a wide...
And the very latest here on News Now from Fox. We're going to keep taking you out to all of this full coverage from all of our stations across the country who are hitting inclement weather. We have some updates from officials in Chicago, officials in Milwaukee, in Texas. So we want to bring all of that to you. And then also coming up in this hour as well, we have some coronavirus news. For now, let's play out some of those stories for you coming in from our sister stations across the country. This one coming in from Fox 5 in Atlanta as they are doing a nice question and answer period. A lot of questions that probably a lot of you at home are wondering as well.
Complicated with job losses, stimulus checks. What do you need to know? We're joined by tax expert Chad Elkins with some tips for all of us this morning. Good morning to you, Chad.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Let's start with people who have lost their jobs and maybe have filed for unemployment benefits. What do they need to know this year?
Well, what you need to know about unemployment benefits is that it is considered taxable income, so you do have to report it on your tax return. And the way you do that is you go to the IDES website and you pull a form. It's called a 1099-G. And on there, it'll have your unemployment compensation as well as any federal and state taxes that you had withheld for that. So make sure you get that form when you're preparing your taxes.
Okay, and then how about stimulus checks? A lot of people are concerned because they've been hearing, you know, you're going to have to pay taxes on stimulus checks, but that's not true, right?
That is not true. Fortunately, stimulus checks are not considered taxable income, but you're still going to want to report them on your tax return because chances are you're going to be eligible for a credit if you didn't receive the full stimulus payments from last year, because this year they're going to be based on your 2020 income. So don't leave those out.
Okay. Now, what about people working from home? A lot of people working from home because of the pandemic. Can you write off your home as an office?
So unfortunately, you can't do that if you're a salaried employee, meaning you get a W-2, because tax reform from 2018 eliminated that. So you can't really do anything with that anymore. And now if you're self-employed, you can, of course, do that. But unfortunately, those are the only people that can write off a home office at this time.
Okay, so what if you did a lot of like a lot of people did, which I think is an interesting situation, that it was a pandemic and you realized, hey, I can work anywhere I want. So you went to work in another state for maybe 2, 3, 4 months. Who knows? Maybe you're still there. So do you owe taxes to the state that you were living in temporarily?
So the answer to that is that it actually depends, because each state kind of has their own unique rules as far as reporting income. In most states, you're not considered a resident unless you're living there for 6 consecutive months. So most people aren't going to have to worry about that. But even if you do end up having to report some income to another state to get taxed, you're not going to get double taxed because Illinois will give you a credit for taxes that you paid to another state.
Okay, good. You won't get double taxed. Finally, what is the best advice you have for everybody at home regarding this year's tax season?
I would say get it done as quickly as you can, because the IRS only recently opened e-filing just a few days ago, and they have got a big backlog in terms of getting things processed. So if you want that refund quickly, you definitely need to get that filed soon. And also make sure that you see a CPA if you're having trouble and need some professional help, because 2020 had a lot of quirks, and it's a lot more complicated this year than it has been in years past.
Likelihood that there'll be an extension, yes or no, you think?
I don't think so. There haven't been any indications, but it wouldn't surprise me either because it happened last year.
Right. Okay. It's so nice to talk to you. Thank you for some important tips this morning. Have a great day. We appreciate your time during this tax filing season.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so obviously that was talking about taxes this year with Fox 32 in Chicago. We do have that coronavirus Q&A from our sister station Fox 5 in Atlanta. We also are going to touch on some of the weather in Milwaukee as well. We've got our eyes on all of these shots here on this busy Tuesday afternoon heading into the evening. It's 3:33 here in Phoenix, Arizona. We're going to be watching President Biden and his visit as he goes to Milwaukee here in the next hour or so.
If you contract COVID-19 and are high risk, there's a new treatment option designed to keep you out of the hospital. Several Atlanta area hospitals are offering antibody infusions. So how does it all work? Well, Fox Medical Team's Beth Galvin joins us live with more on this. And Beth, good morning to you. Tell us a little bit more about the treatment and who might benefit from it.
Well, good morning, Elise. And the treatment is monoclonal antibody infusions, and they're designed, it's a medication that is designed to help your body, using antibodies that are produced in the lab to help your body recognize and fight off the coronavirus. So this is really designed for people who are COVID positive, that they've definitely tested COVID positive, they're sick, and they're also high risk of ending up in the hospital because they have a chronic medical condition or something else going on that raises their risk of suffering more severe COVID-19. So the idea being that if you are within 10 days of your diagnosis, it looks like, you could be somebody who could really run into trouble with this virus. You may be able to get into a local hospital, an outpatient infusion center, and receive a 1-hour infusion of these monoclonal antibodies to help you kind of mount your body mount a defense against this virus. Elise?
So, Beth, this is designed for people who are sick but not so sick they need to be in the hospital, right?
Exactly. So it's designed for people who have mild to moderate COVID-19. So that can mean anything from what we talk about, the fatigue, the fever, the shortness of breath, that kind of thing, even loss of smell. Key, though, is that you also have to have some kind of an underlying condition or something that might raise your risk of becoming more ill. So it's not helpful, and it has not been shown to be beneficial if you wait and give it to someone who's already in the hospital to try to help them fight off the virus, because they've already progressed to the point where this therapy probably isn't going to help them. But it can be really helpful if it's done, especially early on. You do, Elise, need to have a referral from your doctor. So it would be something where if you realized, I might be at high risk of getting in trouble, I would reach out to your doctor and say, hey, can you refer me to an infusion center that's doing this so I can try this monoclonal antibody treatment?
Let's talk about, Beth, who qualifies for an infusion.
So there's a list of criteria that you have to meet, and generally it needs to be somebody who is, if you're 65 or older and you have chronic kidney disease, you have a condition like diabetes, you have a body mass index that's 35 or above, or you have a disease that suppresses your immune system or take medication that suppresses your immune system. You can also get this if you're 55 and older and you have a cardiovascular disease, you have high blood pressure that you're dealing with, or you have COPD or another chronic respiratory disease. So it's designed for those folks who kind of, by now, you probably, if you do have one of these conditions, this virus could be more problematic for you. So it's really designed to help you early on in your sickness kind of fight off the virus. Elise?
Pretty interesting. And it's like all of us know someone who's been affected, with COVID. And so it's so interesting to hear about these treatments that could end up helping a lot of people. So yeah, hopefully it can do just that, right?
Yes, and thank you. And Elise, I wanted to say one more thing. The cost. The government has paid for the cost of the treatment, but there may be certain certain costs in relation to the infusion center giving you the treatment. But the drug is paid for, so if you don't have health insurance, reach out to the hospital and ask them. Piedmont Healthcare is doing it at 5 different facilities in the Georgia area. So reach out and ask them what the cost might be, if you don't have insurance to pay for this.
And we're going to cut into that shot here to bring you some breaking news. This is a fire, a large apartment complex / townhome fire in Texas. Our sister station, KDFW, Fox 4 in Dallas. This is their chopper. They're overhead, and they just headed to the scene. So we're bringing this to you as soon as we got it. You can see some large flames out there, which is a steep contrast to the snow directly behind the townhomes there. It's been freezing in Dallas over the past few days. This week, historic lows. So to see a fire during all of this is quite interesting. No word yet on exactly what sparked the fire. There's an investigation that is underway right now, but top of mind is getting these flames under control. It looks like it's pretty much just on those units right there, those few townhomes. This is in Duncanville, Texas, just outside of Dallas. Several units on the scene there. If you're new to us here on News Now from Fox, this is what we do. We bring you live, raw, unfiltered feeds. Sometimes it's fires across the country, and this one in Duncanville, Texas, at a large apartment complex. We're going to stay on this shot here and see if we can get any more details from the scenes, the fire crews that are on the scene. But as you can see, large plumes of smoke going up into the air. Top of mind right now is getting these flames under control so it doesn't spread to any of those nearby townhomes directly next to the ones that have already been destroyed, obviously, at this point in time. We've been covering weather in Houston and in Dallas, and many people are staying at home right now and have been without power for the past couple of days. So unsure what could have caused this, but we'll see if we can get any more details. I'm going to send some of you off to a 2-minute commercial break. When you come back, all of these feeds from across the country here on News Now from Fox.
Streets! Who's bridge? Who's bridge? Who's bridge? Who's bridge?
It looks like the cops are down by Foley, because I can see the lights through the buildings over there, so probably that street going over. Okay. It's like always looking to try and see what's ahead. You never know. Too many times I've come off the bridge and just like a huge welcoming. Yeah. But when she did it, some say it's like they were retaliating because right after that, they like came hard on one of the marches.
And she came harder with the next
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to happen.
I told a lot of people, I know her personally, and 2 of her brothers been impacted by NYPD. So
it's personal on that.
Personal.
But that's good. You need someone that understands the reality.
We are the people! The mighty, mighty people! Fighting for justice! And black liberation! We are the people! Mighty people. Fighting for justice. Fighting for justice. And black liberation.
Okay.
We are the people. Mighty people. People. Fighting for justice. Fighting for justice. And black liberation.
Yeah. My assumption that they were down by Foley sort of makes sense now. I don't think there's an immigration action going on, so they wouldn't be there for that.
Silver Volkswagen SUV with a 1-year-old baby girl inside. The vehicle was taken from a Valrico neighborhood around 3 p.m. This is Tinley Sage West. That's the name there. The little girl was last seen wearing a yellow shirt with a white rainbow on it, tan pants with rainbows, and one sandal. Anyone with information is asked to call the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. You can find all of this information on our sister station, Fox 13 Tampa's website. Also, remember, you can always head to our website, newsnowfox.com. So again, a Florida Amber Alert in Hillsborough issued for this 1-year-old girl who was inside of an SUV stolen from a Valrico neighborhood this afternoon. We'll keep our eyes on this story here. And back to Texas, Duncanville, Texas, right outside of Dallas, a large apartment complex, townhome fire in Texas. No injuries reported at this point in time. Still gathering more information on this story as it develops. And we do have another live look coming in right now. This is coming out of Joint Base Andrews. Looks like they're going to play back some video here just momentarily of President Biden as he's heading off to Milwaukee. I'm going to bring you all of the latest on that news. President Biden will be hopping on Air Force One and departing from Joint Base Andrews just momentarily here. We'll see if we can bring up some of these other live looks for you. So this was filmed a little bit earlier today. Let's listen in and see if he has anything.
Because there's a lot going on in Wisconsin. It's cold as the devil up there. They got a lot to deal with, and Anderson Cooper said he wanted to do a town hall up there, and I'm happy to do it. So thank you all. Stay warm.
Do you think that Mitch McConnell said that opposing COVID relief will unify Republicans? What do you say to that?
It may unify Republicans will hurt America badly.
So there you have it. That was from a little bit earlier today, and here's a live look now of Marine One. We'll be carrying all of this today. President Biden's visit to Milwaukee. Just to give you a little background on this, this is President Biden's first official trip outside of Washington, D.C. This is definitely an exciting moment for Milwaukee. We played out some remarks from Mayor Tom Barrett yesterday As he said, he was preparing the whole city for his arrival, for Biden's arrival. Like we've been saying, Milwaukee has been experiencing some interesting weather as well, but clearly not prohibiting the president from making his way out there. The president's going to speak from the Pabst Theater in freezing Milwaukee to the world, and on the eve of the visit, we played out some of these stories for you in the Brew City with television trucks and camera cables all snaked out on the frozen sidewalk, ready for this live broadcast of the presidential town hall that is going to take place. And like I said, we're going to bring all of that live to you here on News Now. I just wanted to bring that live to you here on News Now from Fox. President Biden heading off to Milwaukee. We'll be giving you some live looks here in the next hour or so. We'll be talking to a Chicago reporter about weather. We're also going to be speaking with one of our Fox 6 Milwaukee reporters, Jason Calvi, on the president's arrival to the city. All of that coming up here on News Now from Fox. I'm going to send some of you off to a 2-minute commercial break. We'll be right back.
Hi, how are you, Melanie? Hi, how are you? Everybody knew it was going to get cold this evening but me, right? I couldn't be happier.
Don't say anything, but it might take a minute. Looks like it's going to be around.
the car, someone took advantage and jumped in this car and stole this car with the baby inside. Again, I say I couldn't be more grateful because I couldn't be more thankful to God. I couldn't be more grateful to each and every one of you that helped us get this information out.
Threatening to set me on fire. They said they didn't care. 4 days later, I woke up on fire. I was burned over 80% of my body. I lost everything I owned. You guys towed my boat and you crushed it.
That's why we're here.
I got a replacement boat. You guys illegally tagged it. You seized it. You put my daughter's ashes in a garbage can and you tased it. With a broken back, and you ripped me out by my hair on my own property. And then you guys say, oh, when are you going to stop using that excuse? I would have been gone a long time ago if you guys had stopped messing with my property. Have you ever replaced everything you own every 3 months? Every 6 months?
He's pleased with himself.
After I got burned over 80% of my body, you know what Kate said? I don't care. I don't care. Don't live out there. I don't care.
Tell the city council to come down here. And
why are they here?
You were like, oh, you're the first woman I ever got to tase. Like you're some big, strong man. I run around with a Native American flute and I don't hurt anybody. Are you proud of yourself, Padilla?
He looks very proud of himself.
Are you proud that you wear that badge? I thought you were supposed to protect and serve.
Tear gas.
Oh, well, maybe not.
Can we have your badge number, Officer Padilla?
I mean, do you think you could have maybe just pulled my daughter's ashes out of the garbage can before you threw away everything?
You guys either get out of the way or cooperate. The old way is forever gone. COVID should have shown you there is no going back. You're moving forward with us, or you're going to fall by your own demise under God.
Let these people live. Please. Let these people live.
Let it be. Not a penny of government money.
Here's the emergency shelter in a city of 7,000 or more, not here.
This is a pandemic.
These people are from Sausalito, as we all know. They live here. They're not going away like that. Right?
Why do you keep giving us parking tickets every night? Even during the pandemic, when we're not supposed to go out of our homes, we're still forced to move our cars every day.
They have still middle.
Well, the middle people are collecting the money and just laughing at you.
You already know that we're having everybody coming in. Yeah, you guys want to take everybody that we got so you can take around and take our cars. So we can't get in. So then you want us to leave after you take our vehicles.
What about the woman out there that just disappeared?
Why aren't you guys helping us out?
You care?
I'm just asking for help.
I've asked you guys for help I don't know how many times. Until I stopped. You care?
They don't care. They're just doing their job.
So we're here to help?
No, you're not.
How?
We are.
How, Stacy?
But we're asking you to help us.
How can we do that?
By moving us to where we're going to
you're
bless
just
our
asking
homes.
Where is the assistant? Let's remember that
You guys don't get a choice.
We, the police department, you see the uniform, are the messenger. We are the messenger. We are not making policy.
You're making victims. You're making victims. That's what you're trying to do.
You guys choose not to.
You should be protecting people and helping victims.
You don't take a report. Every time somebody assaults me or my boats, you don't take a report. You don't care. I don't care.
Is destroying these people's homes and they want to move us right next to them so you can gloat?
Right, but so
RPRA
and the city of Sausalito, as you guys all know, they're separate entities.
But you protect where they destroy our homes. You guys protect where they destroy the boats. You guys protect it. He calls you guys in to change the time.
You're the messenger. You messenger. Go back.
Yeah. Curtis right now for stolen property?
Where they destroy the boat.
For being a third. Can I file against Curtis right now for stolen property?
I want to report Curtis Holman for stolen property and abuse of a corpse.
So this kind of conversation, we're willing to help.
Susan, you've been submitting press releases. You've been submitting press releases.
He took me to jail.
You guys went with him. You guys went with him.
You just come down, now we meet you.
Under citizen's arrest with him after she pepper sprayed him to keep him away from her because she felt in danger. Okay, so you arrested. You guys took Curtis with you and pulled her off the boat, convinced her to get off her boat, get onto your boat, and then arrested her for a citizen's arrest. But you're not on his side. How is that? I want to file a theft charge against this man. Possession of stolen property, destruction of private property. Can I do that?
Why is that?
Will you guys let me file that? Anybody?
You can file a report, absolutely.
I was on the ground.
100%.
I was on the ground. He continued to follow his case right now. He continued to fire upon me. Why?
So the bottom line is we're here to help, but we need it to be a mutual thing.
Okay.
The city, the community is helping us more than the city ever has.
What's the offer?
The community has given us more in 30 days than the city has in 30
You
years.
guys want to move us to where they're going to be destroying our homes.
That's crazy.
I just have a few questions. Is there a court
Right next to where they're going to be destroying our homes.
That's crazy.
You guys don't see a future problem there.
No, but they're not enforcing it. It's just you're not allowed to mess with the
We don't have to leave,
no court
basically.
order. You are not allowed to hit people during.
Then you will leave and we'll start looking at court action.
The Supreme Court justice ruled on this.
Okay, so all we have to do is stand our ground. They're just delivering a message. They're just messengers, and we've all decided to stay. So they're not enforcing at this time,
But
correct?
what I would appreciate, nothing's going to get done if we stand here and just get yelled at.
Okay, we're listening. We're listening.
I'm sure they
Okay,
would
let her talk. Let her talk.
you being helped. So if you guys,
Let her talk. Let her talk. Let her talk.
if you guys would help us by figuring out a solution. Right now, we are here to deliver a message that the city council would like you to move to Marinship Park.
Thank you.
I understand that you don't want to do that. I understand why. The park is muddy. We have made it so the parking lot and probably part of the park and the cement part, it's cement, is available at this point until we figure out a better solution.
Out of sight, out of mind.
The park
Sorry, the current solution is better.
So,
Sorry
about
that. Listen.
let her finish.
Listen.
Let her finish. I know that each and every one of you have something different that you want from us, and we're here and ready and willing to work with each and every one.
We all want the same thing.
Hold on.
Let her finish. We haven't even met, so I don't know how you can say that.
Well, okay, every
Thank
other
you.
officer.
Okay, let her finish.
My point is, come to us and ask us what you need,
Okay.
rather than gather in a group, and it's not us against you. It's not you against us. It's not. And if we continue that way, we'll never get anything done.
Amen.
You'll still be there. We'll still be here. So
what do we do? Okay,
When all you guys are working, we'll hang
Let her
out at your
finish.
house.
She's
And then you
finishing.
can kick us out when you come home. That sounds practical.
She's finishing. So what do we do then?
the bottom line is, we got to figure out a solution.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Thank you for delivering that message.
So,
Can I say something?
But, yes, as long as it's short.
It's short. So what I'm hearing is that you've come to deliver this message, and we will come up with a solution.
Well, I didn't say that.
Okay,
we'll continue. Keep explaining. Let her keep explaining.
So we have private property over here. We've got city property over here. The property owner over here doesn't want anybody on his property. Okay? The city council doesn't want people on this property. Marinship Park is the voted upon and decided upon property where they would like people to move.
Okay, I understand that. I understand.
So,
Okay.
what we are asking you here today is
move to a different public property.
Please move to Marinship Park. Okay?
Thank you.
We will do our best.
Easy.
Okay, well, we're saying no.
Listen,
So then what?
There's all kinds of options for us when we get there. You know, there's nothing is set in stone. This is all new for all of us.
Okay, good.
Right?
Yes.
So, but without your cooperation, we're never going to get there, and this is going to happen. And that's nobody's going to win with that.
We are.
If they're elected officials, how come I was at that city council meeting and I heard an overwhelming from the public in support of us staying right
That's
where we
true.
were at.
That's
And
very
city
true.
council members voted against the people
Except
that
for
voted
Melissa.
at. So, except for one person.
That's right.
So, why is it that our city council members don't represent the city?
I can't. Yeah, I don't have. That's above my pay grade.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Any questions?
What I would ask is those who can move. I don't want to cite. I don't want to do any of that. We're not here for that. None of us want to do it. None of us.
Okay.
So,
Let her finish. Let her finish.
asking that we move on, move to the park. We have people here willing to help, and you know, we make our plan from there. And that's all I've got right now. I mean, you guys can say, "Fuck you, we're not going to do it," and then you know, we don't have permission to say.
Claim to stay there, okay, because that is private property, that's civil. This is public, that's under the city. So what are you doing to work with all the agencies so that everybody here can come to terms about staying here, which is a safer location for all concerned in the middle of a...
So this is being in the middle of a winter, no less. This is being enforced via the city council resolution.
But what city, county, or state statute allows you to enforce that?
I don't have that
resolution
answer.
Is not enforceable without
this is a trespassing issue over here.
Okay, but that would be civil. But that would be civil.
The property owner has asked us to help remove people from the property, which would actually be a penal code if it's violated.
Yeah, but they've been there longer than the required amount of time, which now means it's civil. That has been off and on used for several years. It's not just a new location. It's been used for several years, so it's uninterrupted and continuous, which means they've actually perfected their rights to stay there. So I'm trying to figure out under what grounds he has to evict them if there's no jurisdiction from a court. There's no judge that has weighed in yet as to whether or not that is trespassing. So there's no lawful eviction until a judge weighs in.
The judge weighing in is going to be an important
Somebody want to tap in?
That's correct.
Anybody they can move to the public property until you got a court order in place.
Acting without a judge or anything.
Yeah, there needs to be, right?
This is not lawful. I mean, this is
So then under 42, 1983, 85 Federal Codes, 18, 241, 242, under color of authority, you are enforcing unlawful policy and procedure, which means you're both personally and criminally prosecutable yourselves. Are you willing to put your jobs and your positions in line for unlawful policies that makes you criminally prosecutable?
I can't tell you that they're unlawful.
Let her think about it. Let her think about it. Don't want to think about it.
Yeah, so I'm saying don't want to think about it. Like, what are we going to do moving forward?
I'm saying that
Are we going to move the emergency work or not?
well, I think the people here have to discuss it amongst ourselves.
How long do you need, Jeff?
Okay. I'm not sure how long that's going to take, to be honest, completely honest. I don't know.
I would think the process would be for the property owner to serve papers upon the multiple parties here. We have okay, and then when they get served, then we can go to court and go from there forward. Until then, until those papers are served, it's unlawful.
For any outcome that you guys would agree to that does not end up with them near the Army Corps?
Like I said,
I think Alice has something to say. I mean,
if we don't have the authority, why are we having the compromise?
She's giving
If you have no authority to approve this compromise.
She's giving a message, right? She's giving a message to us. So we.
So they're only here to do one thing, then.
Yeah, that's Mickey over there.
She's only here to do one thing, and that's remove people off this property.
Although it's a danger to me because I'm 78 and still have not been vaccinated. I sent a letter to the city council, the city attorney, the city manager, and
is that the one you dropped off today?
I dropped it off today. That is the city council is endangering people because right now they are camped in a decent location where their tents can dry. They are in the sun, and they are not on a lot of vegetation. Vegetation, literally at night, leaks water up, coming up into the air underneath tents and will wet them. Yes, they mowed the Marin Ship area just this morning, so there is wet grass laying on top of wet grass, and there is a slight downslope toward the fence that actually collects water. This is not a safe place. When you put a tent on grass, you cannot tell if there's a swale that will actually pond.
They said it was on the concrete, on the parking lot.
Okay, the letter clearly states that it is absolutely dangerous to have a tent get wet and be put away wet, because what it does is it germinates the spores of molds and mildews. They then start growing. They have no time. Weather today even will do that here. That's why I'm able
How much do you get paid? How much you get paid?
So what the answer is that we prefer to look at every scenario individually and not make a blanket decision to answer the question that everybody we come across that we're going to cite or arrest them.
And doing that here, you're blanketing and forcing everybody to the park. You don't get to choose which park. It's a public park.
They're not able to even have that discussion with you. That's not my decision about that park. So
your officer snatched one of my tents just out of hearsay that I had a house. Frickin' Stephen came up and just like, oh, you have a house. You shouldn't be here. And he took my damn tent because I had parked by the bathrooms because the city has refused to bring any bathrooms, any hand washing stations at this camp, violating CDC guidelines. And because I was parked next to a bathroom, as is requested of the CDC, which Sausalito has been negligent, you guys snatched my tent. The deal was there. I mean, come on. Like, actually, I remember you issued the order and you sent me an email back. That's right. You specifically told them to take my tent. And what did you base that? What's your investigation? Do you have an investigation in terms of my housing status?
So let me rephrase what you're saying because I don't agree with your scenario. So I'm going to tell you what I said because I can tell you that. What I said as it got dark and that ship was getting ready to go home, I said, go get that guy's tent and put it in our little garage so he can come get it when he wants to so it doesn't get stolen overnight.
Am I not supposed to use it? I know. Because
it wasn't your business to take private property.
I sleep in a tent at night. I leave a tent there so I can come and sleep in it.
You know,
what am I supposed to do?
You're supposed to protect and serve. What are you doing?
How did you decide that? How did you make that choice?
For trying to protect your property. So that's if you don't like it.
That's not protection.
I didn't ask you.
That's not protection. Protect and serve. You still have not answered. Protect and serve.
Too many tough questions for the chief.
The chief can't handle it. Protect and serve, chief.
I know. Protecting and serving. Rich people president. We have nothing. We have nothing. We have nothing.
Guidelines in their eviction plan. It clearly says, in consideration for encampment, allow people who are living unsheltered or in encampments to remain where they are. This is what the CDC is saying. I read the eviction plan from Sausalito. They do not mention the CDC. They just tear apart Martin vs. Boise, leaving but a vestige of its original intent, which is to protect the homeless.
Protect and serve. Don't destroy. Protect and serve. Protect and serve. Protect and serve.
And you have to be
protect and serve.
Protect and serve everyone.
Protect and serve.
Protect and serve everyone.
Protect and serve
everyone.
Protect and serve
everyone.
Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. Protect and serve everyone. was good. Yeah, you did good. Yeah, you got it. You got it. As much as they can be done.
What's going on here, folks? I know nothing about that. I gotta catch up on all this.
See, but those are the things where it's not like you went in your wallet and took it from you. You gave it to him, you guys went gambling, and then you left. And he was your friend. So that's where criminally it's not something that we can do.
I'm going to fetch you back. And his mother lives right over there.
I'd go talk to his mom. For sure.
Well, she was
You're just gonna lay in their tents.
This is not as hard. I don't live here. On the 5th, the city council meeting. The city had a special meeting on that night to look at 2 separate resolutions of action and then also an operating procedure for stating out loud 2 things in public. One, that we're really trying hard to try and take care of all these people here first and foremost in any way that we can. Of course, it's not a big secret that there's not a lot of money, not a lot of rooms. You know, that problem is for people is everywhere, sadly here too. And the other is that the city's determined that this location is not the safest place for people, but the Friendship location is more safe. So the city resolution says that all city property is closed for camping except for Friendship Park. And so then that was the decision Friday night. So that passed, and then so the next step was to provide notice that we would take some, steps to clean and clear this property. So we did that last Tuesday, a week ago, and then said that there would be nothing that would happen until at least 9 o'clock today.
Okay. So these folks, it looks like to me, are saying he'll go, we won't go. What are you going to do?
Yeah, we're going to see about if that's going to hold true or not. I mean, because we could actually just start taking their property. I don't really want to do that either. That's not the answer. So I actually don't mind. If people want to voice and object for a while, at the end of the day, I'm sure it's going to go our way, but that doesn't have to start that way right this second.
And so you'll physically go in there and start removing items?
We have to, but I think that all these people have a lot of questions, and they have a lot of concerns, and they wonder about their stuff, and where they're going to be safe, and what happens, and they like this spot. I get that, but the city said this is not the best spot. This is not the spot the city's going to authorize. And of course, there's another underlying piece of this that you'd have to ask, the lawyers about, but it's the Martin v. Boise case. And so, there's some specific provisions in that case that enable the city to make that decision. You could get all the details you want from the city attorney's office about that. I'm not necessarily the best guy to answer.
I heard this is technically not city land. I've heard that this little sliver here technically is not city land.
So 2 pieces to that. This
wall
and this land. This wall separates city land right here. This is city property. On that side, actually, is private property. So the private property owner gave us what we call a 602 letter, a trespass letter, saying that we are under offering his authority to tell people to get off his property.
Okay.
Sorry. It's okay. I don't mind talking to you. Just
Thank you,
not
sir.
to interrupt this.
My apologies.
Oh, it's okay. So that the two different authorities, if you look at it that way, right? That's a private property authority under the penal code. This is authority under the city's municipal code. Way different. So that's why we have this question about, that particular attempt could possibly be on both. They didn't put them down one way or the other, knowing where they were going to be. So we're here to problem solve part of that. The end result is they'll have to go anyways. But the question is under what authority? Are they here trespassing on the private property, or are they here on city land and in violation of the city's resolution? So that's why we're here. We're going to start that process. We're going to get people off of here, moving to Friendship. We were just down there earlier today and looking at that and saw that the grass in the Friendship Park was very wet, very boggy, muddy. And so that's not a suitable place for people to, pitch a tent. So we're going to have them use the half of the parking lot next to the tennis courts for now. Because
I have to interject here.
You can hardly walk on the grass. It's so boggy. You see foot sink in it. It's not a place to ask people to put their
That
tent
begs
down.
the question, should the city have known that before?
You know, you could argue that they did. I mean, I don't know if this is the first time the park has been wet, or with the rain or whatever else. I don't know how to answer that for you. But I just thought that today, as a result of all the things we were doing today, so Lieutenant Gregory and I would go down and have a look for ourselves. And we looked at that and said, well, we wouldn't want anybody to be on that grass, at least not right now. You know,
So you're saying the folks can stay here for now?
no, they're going to move into the parking lot.
Into the parking lot, okay.
But they can't be on that. We don't want them to be on that long. Who would want to pitch a tent on that? Right now, it's just too wet. You know, if this situation goes on for a long time, and we're now in another month or two from now, and this is still going on the same way, that park might dry out. But it's not dry today. And so I wouldn't, you know, if it was me, I wouldn't want to put a tent on it either. So why would we treat anybody else different?
But you are treating...
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm sorry,
Nice to see you again.
I have a question for you, sir, because under a Title 18241 and Title 18242, that's federal, I'm sure you're familiar with those
I am
codes. I suggest you go research them
ma'am.
out, as well as a 42, 1983, and 85. Under color of authority, when one knowingly breaks the law, which you have been advised that this is an unlawful eviction because they've never been served any court papers, and it has been continuous and uninterrupted for a number of years, not just for a short period of time. Now, for a landowner to evict tenants that have openly and notoriously been here is unlawful. So are you willing to yourself break the law to enforce the law under color of authority? Under color of law?
What George Washington said, raise the standard.
I mean, they said no.
So we might end up citing every one of them. That's not our goal. Issuing them citations that they'd have to appear in court for. So, but like I said, it's the last thing on our list.
Officer Gregory, you got a good one. I mean, I've dealt with guys in Berkeley, like, they come to the tax squad and they got a bus waiting and you're going to say, period. You know, I mean, just...
I get it, you know, I know there's people that want to be out here, there's people that don't have a choice to be out here, and there's people that need things that we can help provide. But like I said, and what I'll always say is it's never going to be in this setting. It has to be a one-on-one with either one of us, which we have some great people that can help, Health and Human Services, which we have direct contact to, and so until that connection starts to happen,
Well, I'm a success
there
story
will be
that
no
way.
change.
I came up from Homeward Bound. Now I've been hired as the Lighthouse's, I'm a street chaplain. But I was sleeping on the road, and now I'm helping out officially. I'm getting paid, my housing is being paid by the church who
So
wants
you're a
it.
success story.
So far, so good.
Right, so, but that's what we want to see. That's what's available.
I can show people it's actually that you can get yourself back up to normal. Like wake up, you put a roof over your head, I got a shower going, I got a refrigerator, I got
Take people who are able-bodied that have nothing to do and see that teaching the environment has to go. And train people as arborists, considered as earth keepers. We are them. We're not in the earth because we don't like it.
Well, I know you may not want to You're just bottling water. I have
been there, done that. I mean, I like my shower. I like to be able to cook my little food.
Sneaking behind me, huh?
No, they did me right. Homeward Bound is quite good. And that was all Marin County General.
They do a survey?
The people up there, the people who live that way.
People are going to want to have it. They use the monument.
You got it, yeah.
If
it's there, you got to take it while it's there. You got to take a step towards it. And you got to play by the rules. You got to do your chores, right? You got to pay the rent within 5 days of the rent being due. I mean, all the normal rules.
Right, I was going to say. Seriously.
This is our public works director here, so he's the person that we have to come in. Yeah, well, I'll just tell you that much. Devin. Sorry. It's a straight line going straight to the orange fence. I mean, orange fence. Put a dot on the other side of that fence. go on the other side so I can see what it looks like from the
Yeah, people's lives are in between.
Just, I might as well ask her, I'll follow me. Do you understand what I'm trying to do real quick? No. What are you trying to do?
Yeah, we would love to know.
I'm trying to figure out the division between the city-owned property here and the private land there, because the authority to move from here or the authority to remove from there is different. So I just want to be sure as best as we can. That's all. So you're welcome to follow us around, but that's all we're trying to do is figure out.
I mean, we know Cameron. We know the owner of this property.
Yeah, and Cameron sent us a letter asking us to move all of you off his land.
Do you have that letter on
I
your
do.
phone?
Is this just Can we have a copy of that letter, please?
Yeah.
I do.
We would like a
Lieutenant
copy
Gregory
of that
has it,
letter.
Robbie. But I brought it because you and Jeff asked. So I have the letter.
Okay, can we see it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Lieutenant
Sir,
Gregory
how
has
is this
it.
different than an eviction? Huh? How is this different than an eviction?
March.
Well, I don't know that it is.
Nothing can be happening.
But there's an eviction moratorium.
Yeah, that's correct.
State moratorium on eviction.
That's another good point. They can't evict you from there, it's private. If it's an eviction, because of the moratorium. So what's going on, you guys?
Would you follow the law if you're given an order to break the law?
We're not asking anybody to do anything that requires for non-payment of money, like an eviction process is.
They're not about non-payment of loans.
This is
They're also about tenancy.
This is actually a situation, not an eviction situation.
Forceful relocation, is that how you would define it? It's hard to get a straight line with people's lives in between.
Yeah, I hope you lose your job.
Okay, we're currently live in two Facebooks, so you can get two different angles of what you're seeing. I'm going to show you guys this side of it. They got snacks here. Alright, let me show y'all. This is so dope. They have their own stove top. That's dope. They have a barbecue pit system here. They have a restroom, as you can see, parking lots, more barbecue pit, more tents, so it's pretty distant. Looks like its own community service itself. They have their own food storage here. And they have flags waving.
Hey, you want to know a real good question? This guy, he is standing here looking at everybody like super suspicious, just standing there like he's gonna come back and burn the whole place down tonight or something.
That's the energy.
What have you got to say about that, sir?
What do you think is going on?
Yeah, what do you think's going on? You seem to have a front row seat. Yeah, the front row seat to the whole thing. Come on, give us a little brief summary of what you think's going on. You've been standing there for half an hour. You don't have any opinion yet? Okay. All right. One cheering.
stencil? Oh, that's so cool.
This is Sunny's art.
Aw. That is a workshop right there.
Yeah. This is all her art, all around her tent.
Wow. I like this dream catcher. Whoa. Yeah, this is what you call the autonomous zone here. Literally. It's like a, everybody has different tents and different locations, but they have one kitchen. As you can see, they got one kitchen right here. They got a restroom, and they have multiple art craft stuff. They have drums. They have a fire pit area. And it's in the middle of the ocean. Like, look at this. Okay, I'm gonna show y'all this cool spot here.
If we do the right thing.
They have their clothes hanging. That's awesome. Just like ours. That's cool. Hey. Look at this, yo. Now, this is not in Sacramento. This is in... What is it? I know. It's a beautiful view here. This is beautiful. Got the ocean, you got the mountain, and like you can see the entire 360 view of this is beautiful. Yes, so let me go back to what's going on over there. But yeah, this is a beautiful, beautiful place. Hello. How do I get back? Oh, it's over there. So let me get out of here. Kind of start it back. log this out. Peace, guys.